Alright, welcome back everyone. So, character art. As you can see on the screen here, I have some kind of sci-fi robotic character. Humanoid, but it looks a bit familiar, don't you think? Maybe if you've been around for a while? Okay, well let me swap this over and then I'll explain. So this character here is called the Wanderer, and it's appeared in many of my videos and many previous renders. It's something that's quite familiar in the Blender space because Daniel Bystedt contributed it, hold on, let me hide the stuff, as a demo which is freely available to download on the Blender website, and I believe it appeared in a splash screen. I can't remember exactly which one. Might have been a 2.8 alpha. It was originally contributed as an Eevee test, Eevee being the rasterization engine in Blender. Obviously I'm using cycles though. But I've used it for all sorts of lighting demos, and more recently for the display case experimental work for an update for Afterglow, being my lighting resources for Blender. Now I was supposed to be working on that update, but similar to how in another recent video, when I was supposed to work on one thing, I got distracted looking at the Z Anatomy skeleton and decided to make my own skull. This time I looked at this Wanderer character by Daniel, and I thought, you know what, time to jazz it up a bit. I'm going to do my own interpretation of it. I did record some of the process, but I don't know if I'll put it in this video. I think this video will just be a talking breakdown, but I can put it somewhere else. I wanted to do some character artwork because it has been a while since I've done any, and I've been playing a lot of Arc Raiders recently, and something about just seeing some really cool 3D artwork for characters inspired me, made me want to do some of my own, even though it's not exactly the same style. So I've got both of them active here, and you can see some immediate changes. Number one, the head is different. It maintains a similar kind of smooth manifold shape, but I did some resculpting to give it some indented areas where wires could flow a little bit, some more rounded cap areas, and I thought it'd be a good opportunity to experiment with doing some kind of facial system for humanoid robotics, and that's something I've wanted to do before, especially since I've enjoyed the Destiny series of games and I like how they do their exo characters. So I played with doing an eye system like this, where it starts off as a geometric shape. It could be any geometric shape. I've done things similar to this in fantasy artwork before. There's a glass layer on the outside, but inside there's some actual indentation. Let me hide the glass. So the actual sculpt looks like that. I mean, it looks fine without the glass, right? But then within the indentation, we could put any pattern, and the pattern could represent any light. So you could do the whole thing as a light, or in this case, I've got small capsule shapes, and I thought it was important to include like one capsule shape larger than the others, because that effectively acts as a proxy for a pupil. So that's what keeps it recognizable. If you look at it from any direction, your brain might be able to intuit how far is the larger blip from the smaller ones. So if you look at it from the side, you might be able to see, you know, where it's looking. So that was just an interesting thing to experiment with, and I'm quite happy with how that turned out. None of this is textured, by the way. Again, this is all procedural material from my new physical definition material, which is available in my Gumroad startup file and will also be available in the next Afterglow update when that's done. I separated the mesh a bit from the original, which is not rigged, but I used custom transform points to be able to move the lower arm once it was separated, so my character would be able to hold something up, in this case a staff. When I was doing things like the staff, I was just thinking story-wise, I'm imagining this character being part of a colony. Maybe it's not a space colony, but more like, I don't want to use the word a post-apocalyptic world, but just imagine that there's a colony on a planet made up of people and robots, and this one is just going out to survey the area, and if it finds anything useful for the colony, then it will pick it up. So that's basically the idea. So that's why he's got bags full of items, and these are actually photo scans of like potatoes and lemons and mushrooms that a friend of mine, an artist friend, D, has contributed for my Patreon. So I will put the photo scan assets on Patreon at some point for the Silver Tier members and above, and it should also be said as well that this file is available for the patrons. So all the techniques we talk about here, you'll be able to go and break down if you are a Silver Tier member. But you can also sign up for free. You won't get access to the files, but you will get monthly breakdowns talking about what's available. So I recommend that at least, because I know there are a lot of people that want to support, but they don't have any money, and that's fine, you know, sign up for free. This cloak was a bit tricky to do because I wasn't using Marvelous Designer or anything. I basically just had to resculpt it and try and make it, you know, look natural enough as much as you can with manual sculpting of cloth. There are cloth brushes. Some of them are okay, but they're, you know, a little bit finicky to use, especially for something really thin like this, where, you know, it's not one-sided. It is a two-sided mesh, but it's so thin. So oftentimes you're going to get some intersection as the geometries overlap. The material for the hood, oh my God, it was such a mess to do because I tried so many different combinations of things, which includes the physical definition material, which the body is actually made up of, right? So it might be a bit hard to believe looking at it, but this cloth material is literally literally the same as this, at least it was, as a starting point. And then I basically just spliced up all the nodes and did other things, brought in some procedural patterns from another one of my resource packs, like the lines and the hexagons. The hexagons you may notice that I've used recently for doing glass roughness on one of those previous videos, experimenting with display cases. But, projecting the hexagons around the object was a bit finicky, so I leaned into our trusty hex scatter tool, which is, one of the reasons why we developed it. Hex scatter allows us to get, non-seamless texture sources wrapping around a procedural shape of any kind. In this case, I was just using one of the simplest nodes, which is the TV hex splat differing. So without needing to use texture coordinates, this will just give us a triplanar vector that works for, anything really. Hex scatter is capable of so much more complex PBR blending methods, but this was just the simplest one that I needed to use. The staff, as you can see, it's kind of kitbashed from a combination of the original pieces with some extra modeling and sculpting, and there's more work that could be done there. For the volume, again, something I've been experimenting with is kind of noise disturbances in a volume space. So I can disable that and remove the volume. It will make it faster to render, of course, because volumes are quite chunky on the performance requirement. The lights above, similar to that previous video, doing a display case experiment, I find that using physical emissive objects like this and just moving them around the space is really cool for experimenting with like lighting variations. I could just disable and enable different ones and you'll be able to see how that shifts a mood, or even if I've got one, let's choose an important one for this case. And then as I move that around the 3D scene, you'll see it adjust there. Oh, and even like highlight the original wanderer behind. I've got depth of field obviously active here. Let's turn those lights back on. Again, because these little light objects, oh, you can't actually see them in the corner because my face is in the way. Because these little light objects are, physical, the light is actually coming from a shader source, which means that we get control over all sorts of modifications and, we could split them up, gradiate them, etc. If you're new here, a lot of my work is lighting based because I build lighting tools for Blender, or more specifically lighting asset libraries, or even more specifically a lighting asset library singular, being Afterglow, the main tool. But I just love the final look of the character here. I think it gives me a really good starting point for, instead of working from someone else's work like Daniel, starting from scratch now, it's given me a bit more confidence. So from here, stylistic things are fun. Like, what about recoloring the facial elements and seeing what interesting combinations there are, or recoloring the character itself. And, well, to be honest, a little bit creepy, kind of cool, having like a light bluish. Let's go from the lower angle. This is one of my favorite angles as well. Again, because we're using a procedural material, the physical definition one, any change I make in one area applies everywhere. That's why I like using it compared to things like, UV maps. I can hide the cloak if you want to see what's underneath. No extra work was done on the body because it's not really a visible area, but you can see how the sculpting went into the head there, mirrored on both sides as well. For the material, using the geometry pointiness, passing that through a color ramp, I can control how the pointiness of the shape, so basically the sharp areas, is added into the procedural shader. I've spoken quite a lot about this shader recently, so I don't really want to go too much into detail on it, but you see how that works. So again, file available on Patreon. Please check it out. But there's one more thing to do here, actually. Because like I said, before I got distracted and worked on this, I was originally trying to start work on the Afterglow display case update, which will provide control like all of this lighting and much more. So speaking of that, why don't we put this back into the original display case demo file and see how it looks? Okay, so if I'm right, this should be the right file. Yep, there we go. So this is the display case from the recent video with Daniel Bystead's character. Now the characters are in the same place in the world, so I should just be able to copy and paste in my new one and see how that looks. So let me just hide his. The plants, by the way, are from the plant library by BD3D on Superhive. Now I want to select the objects from my Wanderer, copy and paste. That might take a minute to paste. And now I've got to get the staff and now paste that. So let's let that resolve and see what happens. I think that's looking pretty cool. We got to check out the other camera angles as well. And by the way, I nicknamed this character Kimchi. Don't ask me why. It was the name I had floating around my head when working on it. All right, cool. What I might also do is add a little bit more light in here. So let me find the light objects. Okay, just done a little bit of shifting around of the lights. Don't want them overlapping though. From the front, I think that's pretty cool as well. Sure, the fog might be a bit strong. Can always modify that. But I think we should try and get a unique angle. I think maybe if that was a higher focal distance or length. Here's a little tip as well. I keep a 3D view active down in the corner sometimes. And if I want to preview the render, but it's too laggy when moving the camera around, sometimes I focus on the lower right, so I can actually see where the camera will end up settling, while I can still preview the result in the main 3D view, if you see what I mean. I've moved one light forward a little bit to amplify the face a tiny bit more there, because we've got some nice details. And to be honest, I think it's really nice. So for a quick note on creative psychology, a little question could be, if I could make artwork like this, then why haven't I done it before? And I think oftentimes the answer is that starting from a point of inspiration, triggered by someone else's work, is often a shortcut to making it more enjoyable because you're already starting at the level of inspiration rather than working from scratch. But realistically, I wouldn't even be working from scratch if I did this myself, because I've already got like human figures. I could just like strip off parts of them, segment them, solidify them, and pretend they're parts of a humanoid. Like, you know, that's something I could do in the future. But I just like reimagining things sometimes, so it's a bit of fun. If you did make it to the end of the video, put some kind of robotic emoji in the comments. Remember, I have Blender resources available on my Gumroad and Superhive stores. You can actually find more information and the relevant links on curtisholt.online/store. But if you want to get access to exclusive files, of which there are quite a few, by the way, head on over to curtisholt.online/Patreon. That's this first page here, and it'll tell you a bit more about what you can get and our hour/overtime system, because by signing up to the Patreon, you help me to spend more time working on free projects for the Blender community, which we're still in overtime, by the way, so got some catching up to do. But silver tier members, which are the $5 and above, get access to everything on the members lounge. And if I go into the Blender art files and experiments section, then you can see the things down here. So, you know, from all the related videos recently, like the Alien Embryo Star project, the museum and display case tests, and including this new kimchi one leading up to the Afterglow update, then you can actually get access to those files. And this is interesting for me because a lot of the time when I've done experiments working towards something in the past, those files never really get shared, or if I have shared them or spoken about them, it's a bit few and far between. So hopefully it's interesting for you. You can see like a progression over time of ideas developing into new things and actually get your hands on them. But there's more to explore there. And for people interested in medical viz, we've got the MRI visualizer and flipbook packer tool available in the members lounge as well. So yeah, hopefully you found that interesting. Have a great day, everyone, and I'll see you next time.